I'm Michaela, and this is LycanhoodReads. Today I wanted to come at you and let you know what I've been reading, catch you up on a little bit of what I've finished, what I'm currently reading, and get into a teeny tiny TBR. Not necessarily for January, because January is like almost halfway over, but for the new year in general, just some things that I'm going to be reading soon, and my plans for the rest of the year too. So, just to jump right in, I finished 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. I picked up this book after getting the Greek mythology itch from Madeline Miller's work on Song of Achilles and Circe, both of which I highly recommend. This one was good. It was good. It wasn't as good as Song of Achilles or Circe, not for me anyway. It has a lot of different perspectives. I'm not sure how many exactly, but many more than Madeline Miller's work. And I felt like that kind of made it hard to get attached to any one person. And some of the perspectives that I was really excited about got cut off earlier than I would have liked in the book. It was a good book though. I enjoyed it. The writing was definitely beautiful, definitely reminiscent of that Greek retelling sort of musical style. I annotated it a little bit. There were some really beautiful lines. But overall, it didn't really scratch my itch for that, what I was looking for. I know there are some other good Greek mythology retellings that I either have my eye on or are coming out this year. So I'll keep you up to date on that. One of my biggest complaints was of Penelope's perspective. Penelope is Odysseus's wife, for anyone that hasn't read the Odyssey or isn't familiar with that story. Penelope is Odysseus's wife, and Odysseus, of course, goes off to war for the Trojan War. He's gone for 10 years for the war, and then a whole gaggle of awful things happen to him on his trip home. So it's another 10 years before he actually makes it home, even after the war's over. So 20 years total, this guy's gone. His wife is waiting at home with a house full of suitors that are trying to marry her because they think they're king and her husband is dead. But I was really looking forward to her perspective because I've never heard it before. I've heard Odysseus' story told and made in movies and stuff just as many times as I could count. And I was really looking forward to something from Penelope. But instead, her perspective is mostly letters that she writes to her husband. It's unclear. I don't know if she actually physically writes them and gives them to her, but it's in a letter style, appository. And she basically just retells what's happening to him. So there are bards coming to her court and singing of his adventures and his misfortunes and things, and she's just writing letters retelling Odysseus what Odysseus is doing. And I'm sitting there I already know what Odysseus did. Everyone knows what Odysseus did. I want to know what you're doing. I just sort of wanted to see her I guess a little bit more of her inner life during those 20 years, how she was raising their son, how she was, running the kingdom. I wanted to know more about Penelope. Instead, I just got more about Odysseus. But definitely give it a try. It's beautifully written, beautiful cover. And if you just want more about the Trojan War, if you're just on a Trojan War kick like I've been, it is definitely good for that. And I am currently reading This Is How You Lose the Time War. So I picked this one up after, I'd been wanting to read it for a long time, just because, first of all, that cover and that title, right? That's an amazing title. Love it. But I just recently realized that this is actually Sapphic. So there is a female-female romance is the main part of the book, and the writing style is a bit strange. It's also a bit expository, so told through letters or different sorts of messages that these two are sending to each other. They're two female spies competing in a time war of sorts throughout space and time in a world that is kind of hard for me to describe because I'm only in the middle here. I thought this was going to be a really quick read, like a day or two read. It's about, let me see, it's 198 pages, so I really thought I was going to knock this out. But after starting to read it, I found that I liked it at a slower pace. So I read about a chapter or two, maybe 3 at a time. a couple times a day sometimes, or maybe just once a day. So I'm slowly making my way through it, and it is beautifully written. The writing style takes a little while to get used to, and it takes a minute to get into it. But I'm in the middle, and I'm thoroughly engrossed at this point, and it's just nice to take bites of it and just sort of absorb what just happened and what the characters are feeling. But I do highly recommend Sapphic, sci-fi, time war, beautiful poetic writing. Got it right here for you. And I don't have a physical copy because I'm reading it on audiobook, but I'm still working on the Witcher series. I finished Time of Contempt, and I actually just started Baptism of Fire yesterday. So I wasn't crazy about Time of Contempt. I had heard that it was a little bit slower, maybe the slowest in the main saga. And I definitely felt that. It took me the longest to finish out of all the Witcher books so far, and I enjoyed it, but it was slower. It was slower, and I wasn't as interested as just like going along. But I will say that it picked up towards the end. The last maybe 20% or so, maybe 15%, is about Suri. If you know anything about the series, it's the last part is from her perspective, and it really picked up at that point, and it really just sort of blew me away there at the end, and got me excited for Baptism of Fire, which I just started. So I'm making my way through that, prepping up, to finish the series and for season 2 on Netflix, which I'm excited about. I also want to play the game, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I've actually had that game for years. I bought it sort of on a whim just because it looked cool when I first bought my PlayStation 4. And I tried to play it, and I'm not very good at video games. So I found it to be kind of difficult, and I had a hard time getting into it at the time. So I played, for a little while, but I didn't make it very far into the game's story, and I've been wanting to pick it back up for the longest time, especially since the Netflix series came out, and even more so now that I'm reading the books. So I don't know when that'll happen, but I want to finish the book series and then dive into that third game, The Witcher 3, because that does take place after the events of the main book saga. So yeah, that's what's going on with The Witcher. Slowly making my way through it, but enjoying it pretty much every step of the way. I have a lot of thoughts on the series, so once I finish, I'll probably make a whole series review rather than doing it one book at a time. Because the writing, I don't know if it's because it's from a foreign Polish author or what, but the writing is just so different, and I have so many thoughts about it, about how different it is, and how it reads differently than most books or most epic fantasy books read. So that's an exciting thing I want to dig into too once I finish the series, a couple books away at this point. As far as TBRs, I have so many thoughts and so many, cravings coming into the new year as to what I want to read. And I have a lot of books that are in the mail right now on their way to me. I'm trying not to use Amazon at all this year as much as I can, just because, Amazon is the way they are. So I was trying to avoid them, trying to support more like indie bookstores, even indie online bookstores. I can link some sources in the description of where I'm buying my books. But it does take longer to get them in the mail because some of them are from overseas and international shipping and whatnot. So I don't have physical copies of everything on my TBR, but I wanted to go ahead and jump in here. I want to get into Becky Chambers this year. This is the first book in her, I want to say, Wayfarers series. So this is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I don't know much about it. I know that it's sci-fi romp adventure. It's got LGBTQ elements, characters. Other than that, I don't know much about the plot, but I'm excited to get into it. I know that it's pretty well liked. It's not new. It's not brand new. I'm not sure what year it came out, but yeah, want to dive into this one. I think there's 3 or 5 books in the series. Also, Becky Chambers in the mail is To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. That's also LGBTQ themes and characters, so I'm excited to read that. I'm unclear on if it's a full novel or if it's a novella. Either way, I know that it's pretty short, so I'm really looking forward to knocking that one out as well. I'm all here for the queer sci-fi. Give me all of the queer sci-fi. Okay, next up on the list, I've got The Bone Ships. There you go. It's by R.J. Barker. Again, I don't know much about it. I know that it's like epic fantasy, lots of piratey vibes, sort of the high seas. I don't know if it's getting like a Waterworld vibe. Is that too old of a reference? I don't know. But yeah, so I know that there are like, I know that it's a world where there are lots of ships, lots of pirates, most people live on the water, and the ships are made of dragon bones, like dragons are extinct, and the ships are made from the old fossils, bones that the dragons left behind, and there's some sort of war, as usual, and, but the dragons may not be as extinct as they think they are. So this cover is super bomb. Look at that script there, look at the artwork here. Very excited. Can't wait to dive in. It's a series. I'm not sure how many of the books are out, but I think it's going to be a trilogy. It's my understanding. And I also have here, it's the last book in the trilogy that I have been reading for the last, about a year and a half, I guess. So this is The Hyena and the Hawk. It's the third book in the Echoes of the Fall trilogy by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I think that's how you say it. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. But yeah, it's got a beautiful cover. Its two companion novels are right up top there on the, at a point, there you go, on the top shelf. It's probably hard to see. But the covers are all gorgeous like this. That's what first drew me in. Whoever said don't judge a book by its cover was obviously not a reader. But this is the third book finishing up that trilogy. I want to get more into Tchaikovsky's work. I know he also writes a lot of sci-fi. I think he has some other fantasy stuff. I want to read his book, The Doors of Eden. The cover always draws me in. It might have some queer elements, I'm not sure, but it's on my list too. Not high on the list, but it's there. So I want to get, I know he has good things going for him, and I want to read his Children of Time series too, is on my list, but those books they're two out. They're pretty thick, and I don't know when I'm going to be ready to like take on that responsibility, but I am looking forward to that as well. Something else here, some of the ones I don't have physical copies for. The Name of All Things is the sequel to The Ruin of Kings. I'm actually borrowing that from a friend later today. I should have it in my hands, so I'm excited. That's supposed to be a 5-book series. I finished book 1, going into book 2. I really enjoyed it. I might do a review of The Name of All Things when I finish it. I'll definitely do a review when the whole series is finished, but that could be years out, because there are only 3 books out so far. But I'm looking forward to that one. That's a Chorus of Dragons series is what it's called, by Jim Lyons. I got Ninth Reign in the mail. I'm really excited for this one. Elliot Brooks talks about it on her channel. She describes it as a hidden gem, and she's the only one I hear talking about it. So I guess it is pretty hidden, but now I'll be talking about it too. I'm very excited to read it. Let me see, and oh, okay, you guys might be able to see my Shades of Magic box set that I got for Christmas. I'm very excited. It's so beautiful. Let me show it to you actually, 1 second. All right, I'm back. Okay, so this is it. It's so pretty, you guys. Oh, let's get a nice good close up there. Okay, so this is the Shades of Magic trilogy by E.V. Schwab. I want to do a reread. The first time I read this series, it was completely on audiobooks, so I really missed out. Well, not missed out so much. The audiobooks are amazing. I'm not sure who the author is. I might look it up and link it in the description, or at least let you know who he is. But the audiobooks are fantastic, but I've been really excited to do a reread just because this series is so good. And I wanted to get my hands on it and just really dig into the text. Wanted to give you a little peek inside. Oh, look at that art, right? And they all have this on the inside. It's so gorgeous. I love it. So I want to do a reread of that too. Like, I want to read so much. I'm just like frantic and beside myself, and I honestly don't know what I'm going to read in what order. But, you know, it probably just depends on the day. I try to be reading, at any given time, I can be reading like 2 books, 2 or 3 at the most at a time. Because I'm usually reading a physical book that I keep in my backpack and keep on me all the time. And then I also read audiobooks, of course. I read those at work. So I'm almost always reading an audiobook. So the most I'm reading is usually 2 or 3, not usually more than that at a time. But Shades of Magic reread is high on my list. 2021 releases that I'm making a priority this year. So my goal is to order or buy 1 new book a month, preferably pre-order if I can afford it, to support, you know, the authors that I'm looking at, to support new books, and to support my local indie bookstore, E.V. Shavers, on Bull Street. So this month for January, the release that I'm looking at is Hall of Smoke. It's by H.M. Hong, I think is how you say the name. And I will hopefully put a little picture up here because the cover is gorgeous. I don't know much about it except that it's Viking and it's gay and it's women with swords. Like, what more do I need to know? Women with axes too. So I'm really looking forward to that one. I don't know that I'll get it read this month. I'm going to try to make it a priority, but as you can see, I'm drowning in the things that I want to read, essentially. But yeah, so Hall of Smoke is for January, and I want, like I said, I want to do 1 a month, so at least 12 books that were released in 2020 or want to be on this list. Let me see, I have some of them outlined here. So for January, I want to do Hall of Smoke. For February, I'm definitely going to order Winter's Orbit. That comes out on February 2nd, so that's pretty early in the month. I should be able to knock that one out in February. I'm pretty excited about it. All I know is it's like space and gay boys, so what's not to love, right? For the month of March, March 23rd, we should be looking at The Unbroken, which just looks like, I don't know much about it other than badass, like lesbian being awesome. I'm not sure if that's a fantasy or sci-fi or like sort of a mix of both, but I'm looking forward to it. April 15th, we have Sister Song. It's got a really awesome cover. Let's see, I haven't decided on May. It looks like I'm trying to decide between 2 for May, so I'll just hold off until I make my decision on that one. And then June, there was no competition. I'm looking at The Jasmine Throne coming out June 10th. Oh, it looks so good. It's like Indian mythology, queer, like epic fantasy mythology inspired. Like all these words are doing what they're like. It's so good. Such a good soundbite. Let's see, July. She Who Became the Sun. That's July 20th. So I don't remember what this is about, but every time I see the cover, I get really excited. So I must have read what the blurb was at some point and then just like hyped myself up, and now I've forgotten what the blurb was, but the hype remains. So that's for July. Haven't decided on August. The next one I have is September, Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. That's September 7th, or at least that's the date that's set. I don't know if it'll change. Probably depends on how 2021 shapes up. But the last one I have, I don't know what the latter half of the year is looking like, so I'll probably add books to this list as they go along, and the new releases that I'm excited about based on my mood. So yeah, there's my review of 1,000 Ships. I'm working my way through This Is How You Lose the Time War. Sorry, there was a cat. It fell, as cats do. Anyway, I'm still working my way through the Witcher series. Going to keep you updated on that. And that is my New Year 2021 January TBR. All these books aren't going to get read in January, obviously. I'm reading at, not like a breakneck pace, but I'm just doing whatever feels best. And these are the ones that I want to get to the soonest. So that's what's going on, and I will see you guys next time with another wrap-up video when my mail comes in. Have a good day.